Week 6 of the college football season already in the books. That is heinous to say out loud. Season's flying by, so enjoy every minute of it. With Week 6 in the books, we got to give you our nothing but ball rankings through 6 weeks of the college football season. All this is, to me, is doing our best to give you a playoff picture as it pertains to what we believe to be the best teams in college football, not accounting for any auto bids outside of the G5. So before we get there, if you're a college football sicko, if you're saying no to plans on Saturdays because you want to dial into your favorite pregame show, then watch college football all the way until 2 a.m., this is for you. If you're watching full game reruns during the month of March, this show is for you. Make sure you're subscribed to college football. Nothing but college football year round. If you have a complaint about my rankings, at JD PicKell, Instagram, Twitter, at JD PicKell. Let me know your objections over there. Looking forward to getting no objections, only agreements here for what we got on deck. But let's waste no more time. At our G5 spot this week, yet again, USF. Ragdolled Charlotte. That Florida win that USF had, wasn't sure how that was going to age. Looks like the stock continuing to trend in the right direction for USF. I say continuing, starting to trend in the right direction for USF when it comes to that win over the Gators. Bottom line, what I've said for the last couple of weeks is how I feel about USF today. Handle business, win your conference, do you, boo, and you'll be in the college football playoff. If it started today, I'd put USF as my G5 rep by nature of them being in the G5 slot for us this week in our nothing but ball rankings. Number 11 this week for us, a little bit tricky because they gone a lot of different directions, considered a lot of different directions. Was close to putting Michigan here. I'm going to go with Tennessee at 11. Tennessee, once they get all the way healthy, if they can get all the way healthy on the defensive side of the football, I would not want to play them, dude. Because I think for a playoff setting, if it's our game plan versus your game plan, I got Josh Heupel calling it for me. I feel good about Tennessee in a lot of spots. And that defense, with who's calling it with Tim Banks, I feel pretty confident they'll be able to find a way in a lot of spots. Joey Aguilar has been sensational for that offense, being able to push the football downfield to then complement the run game and vice versa. Just they're one of those teams that I would least like to play in round one of the college football playoff because of all those reasons I just mentioned. You're saying, JD, we saw what happened in Columbus. It was not pretty. I hear you. This is a different Tennessee team, though. Different firepower on offense, and I like them a lot right now, man. I'll just say this. If you're a Tennessee fan, the way that you're feeling is we have lost one game. We've got beaten in no games. That's it. If you're a Tennessee fan, that's what you're saying. I think Georgia's got other takes on that, but if you're a Tennessee fan, you're saying, no. We make that field goal. We're undefeated. We're being talked about as a top 5 team in the country, in the sport. I don't think you're wrong. Nonetheless, Tennessee at number 11 this week in our rankings. The team that beat you is right ahead of you at number 10, and that is the Georgia Bulldogs. Doesn't Georgia always do this? When I say this, I mean like follow this trend. September, they're mentioned as one of the better teams in the sport. They're, being talked about here and there. Never really a main focal point of conversation, but they're talked about here and there. October, you start to kind of side-eye Georgia and say, okay, good, Georgia's doing something here. All right, Georgia, yeah, we didn't talk about you a ton in September. Maybe that was because of a loss to Alabama. Maybe it's not. I don't know. Then when we get to November, it's like, okay, you got to deal with Georgia. You got to be able to go 4 rounds with Georgia if you want to get to where you want to go, which is, for most teams, a conference title and or a win in the college football playoff. Georgia's going to follow that same trend. Gunnar Stockton and his legs looked great against Kentucky yesterday. The way that defense looked against Kentucky, I know it's Kentucky. I was impressed by the steps they're taking. So for Georgia, they're going to be there at the end. Believe you me, they're 10 in our rankings this week, but they're going to be there at the end. I feel pretty confident saying that. Georgia, number 10 in our nothing but ball rankings after week 6 of the college football season. Now at number 9, I got Texas Tech. They're good with no qualifier next to that statement. No, they're good for a Big 12 team. No, they're good for a team that went to the portal. Like they're a good football team. And I think they can hang with anybody. Absolutely just embarrassed Houston. Houston, notably since putting us in their cinematic recap in a negative sense, has not covered the spread since then. I don't know if there's any correlation there. I digress. Texas Tech can win any style of game. Defensive trenches, air it out. The weapons are phenomenal. I like their run. I love how Texas Tech is built. Get them in the dance, and they will be a problem. Will the Red Raiders, number 9 in our nothing but ball rankings. At number 8, got Indiana. I cannot wait for that game against Oregon in UGA. I cannot wait because if they can show up and play that game close with the Ducks, it will validate everything we've said about them post-Illinois. Because post-Illinois, we said, hey, Indiana, This is the new Indiana. This is this year's Indiana. Like, maybe not be better than last year's Indiana. All those things. You play Iowa tight, okay. Oregon is one of the best rosters in college football. Definitely one of the best rosters in the Big Ten. If Indiana is able to look serviceable against Oregon, serviceable is the wrong way to say it. If Indiana is able to look the way that they would like to look against Oregon and kind of just show their stuff a little bit there, I think you'd feel real good about the Hoosiers the rest of the way, because Oregon's a high bar to be set. But Indiana, if you can keep it within a score, heck, if you can beat Oregon, talking about keeping it close, you can beat Oregon, Indiana, we're changing the conversation around you, but I still think you're one of the best teams in the sport right now, number 8 in our Nothing But Ball rankings. At number 7, I got Alabama. I think what we've seen from Alabama these last 2 weeks is closer to the real thing in Tuscaloosa than what they were week 1 against Florida State. Talk about Ty Simpson, the urgency, the edge that he plays with, I think the entire team feeds off of. Also, I think Kalen DeBoer's got some black Air Force One energy to him, man. Handling the ball to linemen, covering spreads. I love the way they're playing right now. Alabama at number 7 in our Nothing But Ball rankings. Now, number 6, I got Ole Miss. It's tough to argue with the 0 in the loss column at this point, man. It's tough. Like, I would like to see them play against Alabama. Like, that'd be fun if we could just match those teams up this weekend and have them roll the ball out there and play. I digress. For Ole Miss, I love Trinidad Chambliss. I love Lane Kiffin dialing it up. I like the progress they've made when it comes to like honing into the Pete Golding style of ball. Here's what I'll say. It's going to be about the traits for this Lane Kiffin team. And what I mean by that is you have to be able to reset every single week with the games that you're going to play here. At Georgia, at Oklahoma, South Carolina, the Citadel, Florida. You get in that stretch with 2 losses, you're in the college football playoff. All right? And Ole Miss wasn't great at doing that last year because you weren't able to reset and you lost the Florida game. The LSU game seemed like it took a little bit out of you. So this year right now, sitting pretty. Ole Miss, I think right now should feel very good about their college football playoff chances. And I love the way they're operating right now with Trinidad Chambliss pulling the trigger. At number 5, I got Oklahoma. And this is not me like docking Oklahoma for John Mateer not being in the lineup. I'm actually a little bit more impressed with the team that I moved ahead of them. Oklahoma, if they go beat Texas, we'll put them higher in the rankings next week. Believe you me. I am really excited to see how the rest of this roster responds to potentially, now we'll see if it happens, potentially John Mateer maybe not being available against Texas. Now, I hope he is. The message board is starting to rumble and buzz, and maybe he will or maybe he won't. Brent Venables said he's assuming, I don't know if he said this directly, but he is assuming that John Mateer will not play in Red River. So I say all that to say, if you are going to be a team that makes the college football playoff, you step up with your best player out of the lineup across the board. Running back room, got to step up. Defense, you've been phenomenal this year. Might need a little bit more to win in Red River. So I'm excited to see how they respond, but Oklahoma's still a top 5 team in college football right now, even without John Mateer in the lineup. For my money, based on what we've seen handling Kent State yesterday. We'll see on the Sooners. Number 4, I got A&M. The more I learn about them, the more I like them. I said in our reaction video, it's kind of like whenever you go on a second, third date, the more you learn about someone, you're like, I don't know if it's going to work out. That second date wasn't as great as the first date. I continue to learn more about A&M. And it's like, oh, they can win with explosives against Notre Dame. Oh, they can win with defense against Auburn. Oh, they can win by just snatching your soul in the run game against Mississippi State. So A&M at number 4, I feel great about them going forward. And I think that the way that they are winning is going to be something they can repeat throughout the rest of the season. And I think what you see with A&M is the real deal. Now, I want to give this massive disclaimer for this top 3. I think any one of these top 3 teams have a legitimate case for number 1. This is just kind of how I see it shaking out right now. At number 3, I got Oregon. Oregon, I think, is Dan Lanning's best team. This Oregon team is the best Dan Lanning team he's had in Eugene. This is also, I think, most importantly, truly the most threatening version of the offense that I've seen. And that's saying something with Dante Moore being in his first year as a starter in that system. The way he's able to stretch the field adds a different level of just like nervousness, I think, to a defense. Because Dylan Gabriel, as efficient as he was, the deep ball Dante Moore has is different. The arm talent Dante Moore has is different. And that's saying something with Dylan Gabriel being a 3rd-round draft pick in the NFL. That plus the weaponry you're seeing from Oregon, I think, is arguably as good, if not better than what they had a year ago with Sadiq, with the Corian Moore, with Malik Benson. Like, we go down the line here. I am really excited to see how they handle success. Because you beat Penn State, you had the bye week, we've told you how awesome you are. Last year's Oregon team was so just different because they beat Ohio State, and then it was like, no, Friday night against Purdue, handle business. The next week, handle business. There was never a letdown spot. How does this Oregon team handle success with an Indiana team that's also top 10 in our rankings coming to town? Can't wait to see it, but that's going to be a great litmus test for us with Oregon. Now, number 2, I got Ohio State. If you're an Ohio State fan, I'm not down on your Buckeyes. Yes, we have you down 1 spot from last week. This is not us being down on Ohio State. If anything, I was actually super impressed with what they looked like against Minnesota. To me, this is just the team ahead of you. I think their resume is a touch more impressive, the way they've looked versus that resume, too, you have to take into account. But Ohio State, if you're number 2 or number 1 in the country, I don't think there's really a discussion to be had there that should be all that emotionally charged. I loved the way against Minnesota they let Julian Sand cook a little bit more. Because you understand now, going into October, you're going to need a little bit more from number 10. Going to need him to push the ball downfield a little bit more. You don't have Jeremiah Smith lined up at wide receiver for your health. I mean, you do, but you have it so you can be healthy as an offense and maximize the explosive plays that you have. You're not just to throw him hitch routes and, underneath shallow routes where he goes and does crazy stuff. It's like, no, we have Carnell Tate, we have Jeremiah Smith to stretch the field. They did that against Minnesota, and Julian Sand looked awesome doing it. The defense speaks for itself to this point. Them showing that horsepower, Ohio State showing that horsepower, get choked up talking about it, should be scary for the rest of college football. Because if they got that in the bag, plus that defense, all bets are off. At number 1, I got Miami. It's the combo of resume. It's the lack of weaknesses I see from them against the resume they've played. The way they beat Florida and just took their will. The way they beat Florida State. The fourth quarter makes you raise an eyebrow, maybe. Actually, a reason why I almost had them at 2. But at this point, man, like the way to beat Miami is going to take a lot. It's going to take Miami beating themselves to some point. It's going to take you winning enough on the line of scrimmage. It's going to take you putting a lid on what all their weapons can do for it. Like the way to beat Miami, to me, has a lot of commas in it. And with that being the recipe to beat Miami, I have them at number 1 this week in our Nothing But Ball rankings, the best team in college football through 6 weeks of the season. So to recap it for you, my G5 rep is USF, Tennessee at 11, Georgia at 10. Texas Tech at 9, good. Not just for a Big 12 team, they're real deal good. Indiana at 8. If they go beat Oregon, we're changing this conversation drastically. Indiana, I love what they are right now. They're winning up front. They're winning with the passing game from what they had a year ago. Love Indiana. They're at number 8. Bama at 7, Ole Miss at 6, Oklahoma at 5, A&M at 4, Oregon at 3, Ohio State at 2, and the Miami Hurricanes number 1 in this week's Nothing But Ball rankings. As always, make sure you're subscribed. Cato on the 1s and 2s. Myself, JD PicKell. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. We'll keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time.